All right, welcome back. The standard, the lying, lying president. It's a question, by the way, let's be careful. It's not a statement. Wanasema, ni swali wanauliza, lying president. Alternative facts. President William Ruto began his tour of central Kenya with claims that have been challenged. He said Kenya is exporting tea to Sudan, a statement that was denied by the Sudanese government. They sent out a statement immediately. Wakasema, we stopped all imports from Kenya. So musiambiwa ati kuna anything being exported to Sudan. No, it's not happening. He also said he was mentoring Kiharu Mpindi Nyoro, an assertion that has been disputed, leaving Kenyans wondering why the president is speaking half-truths. Yesterday we saw quite a number of people calling pressers just to counter what the president had said the previous day. One of them is Senator Joe Nyoto of Murang'a. He'll be here in studio. So we'll be asking him, mbona munastuka sana? Mbona munasema jamaa asemi ukweli? So that's a big story on the front page. Yeah. Gatanga MP there, Edward Muriu, is quoted saying, Nyoro is my confidant. He confided in me that he had severed ties with Ruto after he refused to support Gachagua's ouster. When he refused, the president instead asked him to mobilize Murang'a MPs to support the impeachment motion, but he also declined. So why is the president insisting that he is mentoring Uyo kijana? Other stories there, Supreme Row, why JSC judges are at war. That story is on page 10. And parents win after court stops e-citizen school fees payment. Remember the government had said that school fees itakuwa inalipwa through e-citizen. Alafu shule wanapewa pesa baadaye. In Uganda they've actually implemented it.
For schools?
Yes, we read it here, I think yesterday. That on one of the papers, now you pay the equivalent of KRA. Inaitwa URA.
Yes,
Unalipa school fees directly to URA. Alafu sasa shule watapata. Sasa kama Kenya tulipe KRA through e-citizen. Lakini koti imesema hiyo ni kama
mtu analipa na ng'ombe atalipaje? Actually that was court ruling.
Na wale wanalipa na kuni. The story is on page 2. On the back page, slot unfazed by Alexander Arnold, Real links ahead of Merseyside derby. Leo kuna mechi kadhaa pale. Bournemouth, Ipswich, Brighton, Aston Villa, Man City, Leicester City, Newcastle, Brentford, Southampton, Crystal Palace, and Liverpool versus Everton at 10 p.m. That's going to be EPL leaders. Very interesting matches later tonight. That's a standard.
All right, Taifa Leo, Ruto aanza kukwea mlima. Wenyeji wa Laikipia na Nyeri wajitokeza kwa wingi kumlaki rais, kinyume na dhana angekumbwa na upinzani. Picha hiyo ndio hii hapa. Anasema Rais William Ruto hapo jana alipokelewa kishujaa katika siku yake ya kwanza kuzuru mlima Kenya baada ya kutimuliwa kwa aliyekuwa naibu wake Rigathi Gachagua, huku akitoa ahadi ya kutekeleza miradi yote ya maendeleo aliyoahidi eneo hilo mwaka 2022. Rais William Ruto aliahidi hapa akisema, mimi si mwenda wazimu, nitahakikisha kwamba everything that I promised I will bring it to life, it will materialize. Yesterday of course. Ziara yake ya kwanza leo ako Meru na ako Kirinyaga. Tutajua. Matters IEBC, Karuan Kalonzo walalamika, wanasema wadai serikali inapanga kudhibiti mchakato wa kuajiri makamishna wapya wa tume hiyo. Sana sana ile ambayo inawasumbua akili sana ni ile ya Joy Mdivo. Anasema kwamba that is basically Ruto. Huyo alikuwa IEBC, so no, we do not want whatever is going on. Yeah.
Interesting.
Majonzi, watu 7 wa familia wakifariki. This is very sad news. Hali ya huzuni baada ya watu 7 wa familia moja kufariki katika ajali ya barabarani, and this was on Sunday. Amepoteza all the kids, the husband. Very sad news. Condolences to the family. And tetemeko na vifo Myanmar vyafika 3,000. Viongozi wasema watu 3,000 wamethibitishwa kufariki, huku wengine 4,521 wakijeruhiwa. On the top strip, koti yazuia karo kupitia e-citizen, na koti yazima agizo la kuwataka wazazi kulipa karo kupitia e-citizen. Aliyefungwa kimakosa atoa masharti. Alifungwa maisha kwa mauaji ya mtalii, lakini akachiliwa baada ya miaka 12.
Wow.
Naweza kasirika vibaya sana.
Hata mimi naweza kasirika. All right, that's Taifa Leo. Tuangazie gazeti la The Star. The Star, they have a white headline against a black background. I don't know why, because this is new. It looks very different. Ruto dares Gachagua. In a stormy tour of Mount Kenya, President dismisses threats to making him a one-term president as he doubles down on his development agenda. You know, and this is a question we were asking yesterday. Yes, he's going there for development, but there's a high risk that he might just turn this whole tour into a discussion about his former deputy. Yeah. And that photo that has also been used on the front page of Taifa Leo of the president, typical fashion on top of his car, meeting the people in Nanyuki yesterday. He also laid a foundation stone for the construction of 10 classrooms in Nanyuki DEB Primary and Junior Secondary in Laikipia. Other stories, lawmaker proposes bill for metered billing of internet use to stop exploitation. This is interesting. Vile tu uko na mita ya stima, hata hiyo internet wekewe mita ndio ujue imebaki ngapi.
Wewe wacha. Wacha kabisa.
No, anasema hiyo ndio hautalipa kitu hujatumia.
Huyo mtu akome kabisa.
Stories on page 7. And matters smart farming, how conservation agriculture helps fight climate change. Yes. Pale juu hiyo masuala ya IEBC, row looms over IEBC chiefs after claims of impartiality. That's a big discussion there on the front page of the Star.
People Daily, Ruto's cries to the mountain, of course, matters mountains, and whatever I was talking about there. I will be a madman to abandon Mount Kenya who voted for me. I will work so hard until he can't believe it. You should not worry. I am not a drunkard or someone who doesn't know where he is going.
History ya drunkard imetoka wapi?
Historia drunkard. Wewe? Wacha nisiseme. We'll talk about that after the show. That is President William Ruto yesterday. Of course, ameahidi people of the mountain that he will deliver all the promises that he made to them for making him president. Other stories here, 96 million shillings boreholes, but not a drop of water. Of course, this is a report by the Auditor General Nancy Gathungu, where she has revealed that the government spent millions of shillings to sink boreholes in various parts of the country that were yet to release any water. And that report for the financial year 2022-2023, Gathungu revealed that the State Department for Water and Sanitation spent 96.9 million shillings to sink boreholes, some of which had stalled while others had no water. 96.9 million. I see what you did there. Imekunywa maji haiko.
Imekunywa maji haiko ikamaliza.
Absolutely. On the top strip, Geoffrey Ruku, the man who defied 5-poll defeats to landslot in cabinet. The other day he said, "Hapa,
you when you come to Morning Cafe, State of the Nation, you might just land a cabinet job." Never know.
All right, stand up, speak out, and stop selfish efforts to grab City Park. And that story is on page 15. This newspaper, wako environment champions. So that's what
they call it a green paper.
Yes, and students stranded in UK after gambling 2.8 million shillings.
Vijana tafadhali.
Vijana baru.
That story is on page 5. People should read and learn.
Yes.
People Daily. To move on to the Daily Nation, and on the Daily Nation they talk about the politics of handchecks. Auction house. President William Ruto's claim of a 10 billion shilling demand by his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua in exchange for political support has exposed the transactional nature of the country's politics, where elected leaders are willing to dish out billions of taxpayers' cash to buy loyalty. This flagrant bribery happens in the run-up to presidential contests. Inasemekanaga ati you buy out some of the candidates. Alafu naambia step down. Ambia sasa step down, what am I getting? Nasema figure kama hizi 10 billion, 5 billion is what people talk about. This flagrant bribery happens in the run-up to presidential contests, during coalition building, and in sealing ceasefire deals. Ceasefire, unajua was na include nani? Sana kwa inchi. Ceasefire. And Kenya's top politicians have been accused of being complicit. Stories on pages 4 and 5. But I tend to agree. Shame. MPs have on many occasions been accused of being on the executive stake. Kwa hivyo hata ni kama wana receive.
Of course.
Wananunuliwa tu.
And they're not even hiding.
So lakini sasa hapo wameweka President Uhuru Kenyatta in 2013 coalition deal with President Ruto and 2018 handshake with Mr. Odinga. Are they saying that in those two cases there was some exchange of money? President Ruto 2013 coalition with Mr. Kenyatta and 2025 deal with Odinga. Mesikia Odinga mara ngapi? Mbili. Odinga 2018 handshake with Kenyatta and 2025 broad-based government with President Ruto. Alafu Gachagua pale asema claims Dr. Ruto offered him 2 billion shillings to resign. Na president asema Gachagua demanded for 10 billion. Billion, can you comprehend how much a billion is?
Yeah.
It is 1,000 millions. Yeah? So imagine 1,000 millions times 10. That story you talked about, this tragic story about a road accident, where this lady says, I've been left without a single child, pain and agony of widow after horror road accident. A mother burying her 3 sons and 3 grandchildren. A widow laying to rest her husband and her only 3 children. And a farmhand bidding a final farewell to her son. This is a heartbreaking situation that has cast a somber mood over Kameritho village in Limuru, Kiambu County. The story on page 3. And they have there a picture of Francis Muturi, brother of Ngugi and Kirubi, who perished alongside his 3 children, Fidelis Waithera, Catherine Wanjiru, and Vitalis Kirubi, in the accident on Sunday. And we can only say we extend our sincere condolences to the families there. Matters IEBC, Ruto and Raila are meddling with the reconstitution of the commission, claims opposition leaders. We'll be looking at that. Kenyan officers injured in clashes with Haiti gangs, and I think they're really taking a beating in Haiti. 2 Kenyan police officers in Haiti have been seriously injured. Remember, there's one who died. Yeah.
One is missing.
There's one who died, one is missing, and presumed dead. Now 2 more have been injured in clashes with gangs over the past week, adding to the mission's growing number of casualties as it comes under increasingly frequent attacks. That's the Daily Nation today.
All right, tuangalie matters biashara. Tullow writes off 19 billion shillings in Turkana crude oil plant. And British oil explorer Tullow Oil has written off a further 18.8 billion shillings from its Kenyan assets, signaling deepening pessimism of the company over its prospects of advancing the Turkana oil project to commercialize exploitation. Now, the impairments reflect uncertainty about the company receiving and finalizing an acceptable offer from a strategic investor, obtaining financing for the project, and getting the government to deliver on the required infrastructure and physical terms to make the project viable. Now, Tullow mainly attributed the latest write-off to a delay in getting approval from the government for its field development plan. This story is on page 2. We see a photo there of visitors conducting a tour of the oil rig at Ngamia, one in Turkana County. This is April of 2012. Interesting. Farm links move to delay in field development plan approval, and uncertainty deepens over commercial exploitation. The stories here, holders of multiple bank accounts to get full compensation. Holders of multiple bank accounts to get full compensation. Sasa wanasema kwamba owners of multiple accounts in a collapsed bank will get full compensation of up to 500,000 shillings for each account if proposed changes to the law are adopted. Now, presently, compensation is based on individuals and not accounts held, meaning that savers with multiple accounts that hold more than 500,000 shillings don't get full compensation. The Treasury has proposed to scrap a clause in the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation Act that provides that depositors can only receive a maximum of that amount despite holding multiple accounts in a collapsed bank. So this means an individual with 10 accounts each holding 400,000 shillings will be eligible to receive full compensation of 4 million up from the current 500,000 shillings. Interesting. Kuwa na multiple bank accounts. At least if you collapse you have compensation.
All right.
On the ticket, Kenyan households pay highest power prices in the region.
We have the most expensive electricity.
Hiyo acha tupumue kwanza. KPC cash reserves dip 44% on penalty, and small farms beat blue chips in share price growth at NEC. That's the Business Daily.
Right. Let's now take a look at what people are talking about in as far as the cartoons are concerned, but just